All right, well, as the host of Going Green for Green, one of the great perks is I get to meet lots of fantastic entrepreneurs in the green space. Many of you know that have followed me over the last number of years. I ended up buying a little restaurant in Milford, Ontario, Prince Edward County, and lo and behold, right up the street from me is a green entrepreneur by the name of Steven Van Dusen. Owns a company called Tri-Canadian Energy, specializing in solar, off-grid homes, and solar solutions. Also owns a company called Tri-Canadian Communications. Now, Tri-Canadian Communications was sort of a birthed out of the innovation around creating power for towers that couldn't get power. In other words, the cost of putting power into the tower was prohibitive to making the tower profitable. In other words, if you're Cogeco, Rogers, or Bell, you did your economic model and said, sorry, those people can't get internet. Well, Steve took it upon himself to create his own business around solving rural high-speed internet. And during the pandemic, he became more and more aggressive and built towers around this county and began to get subscribers in place and on board. Now, as many of us know, the federal government is pushing out large amounts of capital to provide rural high-speed internet. So I've been involved with Steve for about a year now and kind of understand a little bit of what's happened in his business and where things have gone right and where things have gone wrong. There is little doubt that this man is an innovator and that he's a risk taker. And he did his very best for this community to try to, what I would say, provide rural high-speed internet for that last mile. Those people were Cogeco, Rogers, and all the big guys. Nobody wanted to do the final mile because economically it didn't make sense for them. Well, Steve, he's fairly small, he's limber, and he can move fast and do things quickly, and he was willing to take it on. So I'm just going to have a conversation with him here on camera about his experiences with TCC, his work with the community, his work with the provincial government and the federal governments, and get his own take on what's happening with rural high-speed internet, what's going to be the biggest folly of rolling out rural high-speed internet, and what he thinks the federal government should be doing. So Steve, as you venture into this new arena, rural high-speed internet, give me the what you've learned and your take on what the province and the feds and the community should be doing, and how you differ, what's gone wrong, what's gone right.
So, Mike, what's happened, and it's horrible. They've left the last mile out. You know, these big companies have come in and they'll put the money in, they'll cluster where the big pockets are, but the people who really need it are the people that are out there, way out there, including myself. I didn't have it, I needed it, so I had to build it.
Okay, so tell me about the learning curve, though, right? I mean, you were not an internet provider. It's not your core business.
No, not at all.
How did you get there?
So, not having it, and then I built it so I could have it, so I could develop my company.
In other words, for this property that we're on right now, which is your 50 acres and you're in the middle of nowhere, you did not have high-speed internet. So the first thing for you was getting internet for yourself.
100%. I'm running a multi-million-dollar corporation. We do engineering and development, scientific research and development, and I had to go to town to order nuts and bolts. Does that make sense, Mike?
No,
it did make sense. So I built the corporation. I did what I did, but did I know what I was doing? Hell, no, I didn't. I just knew that if I wanted it, the big guys, they left me out. They didn't count, and I wasn't the only one. They left thousands and thousands and thousands of people out who don't get internet in this county right now. They don't have it. I did what I could with what I had, and I got it done, but there's still hundreds and hundreds of people in this community that don't have adequate internet to work from home, watch their kids, school the kids, and you know what? Those big companies didn't care.
Okay, so when you say they didn't care, it was more along the lines that the economic model didn't make sense. To put that last tower up, service that last mile.
Yeah, fair enough,
right.
fair enough.
So you're a community guy, you grew up here. Yep. And what's your background again?
I'm a developer. I've worked here and I've employed people for over 40 years in the county of Prince Edward. I've never left it. I got great things coming. I'm going to do great things. But you
started out as constructing homes.
Yep, absolutely.
And migrated into supplying power for those homes.
Yep.
Became an expert in solar power. You've worked all over the world.
Right.
And then finally, this is your capstone. You say, hey, guess what? I'm going to build my own solar-powered internet towers and provide that internet that the big guys can't do. Steve, what's the difference between your methodology of providing internet and, say, Rogers and Bell?
I don't need infrastructure. I don't need to take and build a road. I don't need to bring hydro and utility services to my towers. So if I want to put a 450-foot tower up, I can go to a 350-foot tall hill, put up a 100-foot tower, and away we go.
And you could do that because you don't need to run a hydro from the towers because you power yours.
I power my own
with your own solar tech.
Yep, you bet.
And I guess the advantages to that are that if the power grid goes down, you're still getting your internet.
I'm still getting it, and I'm still sending it. So if you have a localized generator, or if you have a backup system that's running your house, I will support you 100%. No operating costs for the sun, Mike. That's what I do.
The provincial and federal funding programs for rural high-speed internet.
Right.
It's an application process.
Right.
Have you been through that?
I most certainly have.
And what was the result?
So the result of that is that I partnered up with some people who just did the opposite. There's no question about it. I worked with, I don't know if you want me to say that I worked with, the federal government at a high level, where we actually were in communication for the last 18 months doing a thing called rapid response with a certain political gentleman. And you know what? Mike Bozzio, he's the guy. And my whole team worked with him. And when things went south and they didn't figure it out, he gave me his condolences. And I said, well, my customers don't need your condolences. They need internet.
So right now, you have towers across Prince Edward County.
Yep.
And you're providing internet service for how many people?
I'll have to talk to Bob, but I think we're up a couple hundred. Really.
What is the federal government doing to provide rural high-speed internet? How is the money being portioned out? Who's getting it and why? And so Steve, as a local entrepreneur, has asked me to come and try and do this for him and get the message out to Canadians that this money is not being handed out to the local guy who's actually willing to do the job. In fact, they're spending millions more than is required. They could do it simpler and easier, but they just don't do it. So, Steve, take us. Okay, I get it. So Mike Bozzio, he's Liberal MPP, right?
Yep.
He's a provincial MPP.
Well, no, he's running for election. He's an MP. So he's federal. He's federal.
Okay.
So he was working for one of the ministers, and actually we talked. We communicated to him and my team, and my political officer, which is John Oliver. They and some other guys that I worked with. They all collaborated to try and make this work. Last mile is important, Mike. We are 18 months into this pandemic. We sent people home. We sent kids home. We put doctors out of their office. We put lawyers out of their work. We put people who are just going home, and they had no internet, no way to communicate.
Okay. So, and I'm here to try and simplify this message to you, the Canadian citizen, and more in particular, people of Prince Edward County. What the hell's going on? Why can't we get good internet? Why is there $2.9 million going to provide internet for 60 houses in one area, and one area over here gets no money at all and no funding? So, Steve, from the beginning here, you put yourself together on this property to provide your own internet because you needed it for your business.
Right.
You learned how to do it.
Right.
You have innovations and you have engineers that are working with you, and you guys say, hey, we can actually put towers wherever we need to because we're solar experts. We can get the power to those towers. We can do it cheaper. We can do it more efficiently, and we can provide service where people can't.
And faster.
And you have been shunned by the feds and the province and the community?
Absolutely.
Tell me about what happened in the county. What happened to do that?
Well, here we go, Mike. This is a really odd answer, but this happened. So in 2020, in March 15th or 16th, when we were sent home by the government and the province, and everybody had to lock down, there was no internet. Nobody had nothing. So I said, okay, I can do this. I'm already doing it.
You said that to who? The mayor, the council?
I said it to the mayor. I said it to council. I said it to all my friends and all my staff. Everybody knows that TCC has been doing this for a long time. And which was sad because the CAO in the county of Prince Edward, I said to her, can I use the locations that you have? Can I use your locations? Can I help the people who need my help? Can I do that? Of course you can, Steve. We got the Bloomfield Tower, we got the Wellington Water Tower, we got vaults, we can run cable, we can do all kinds of stuff. But we're going to charge you.
So in other words, they were going to charge you for space on towers to provide internet that currently didn't have it. Here's the gear right? None of this is easy. You got to climb a tower 120 feet in the air. You got to get them angled properly, and only specific people know what they're doing. It's a difficult job. I live down the road. I just want friggin' internet. So what's going on is my question. As a Canadian taxpayer watching all this money get doled out, what's going on? I watch this guy who lives up the street from me, builds his own network from nothing. He gets no funding, no money, and it seems like they're all coming after him to put him out of business. It seems pretty odd. What do you see as the solution for Prince Edward County internet? How much money would TCC require to provide this whole county with internet, or how would you do it if you were in charge?
So if I was in charge, yes, it's going to cost. I mean, I've already spent $1 million, and it could cost, maybe a few more million. But the last mile works. That's the issue. You give, the feds gave some money and the province gave some money to Cannery Lane, to these guys that had no internet, and they're going to surrender, 2 point some odd million bucks. Man, $2 million bucks. Yeah. I
Right.
can get everybody in the county. We can really get there. I got customers all over the county. I think we're doing, somebody gave me the math, I think we're doing like 3,000 square kilometers because of our radio and what we're doing air to fiber. That's our gear here.
The question is not the people, and we all want it. We not only do we want it, we need it.
Need it. Need it.
And
More
so
than want it.
the federal government has recognized that need and says there's $500 million, blah, 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 a billion here, 500 million there. And is it all getting sucked up by Rogers and Cogeco and
It's
Bell?
getting sucked up all by the big guys. I mean, they were already given. But okay, so let's talk about that. They were already given a thing called Spectrum. So and believe me, I got some really cool people that are in my corner, and KOS and Meredith are in my corner. We talk about this. There's licensing, there's Spectrum. I have a CRTC license. We do what we can. But to just give a corporation, just how wrong is this? To give $50 million or $500 million to a company that was already paid to get it done. And they didn't get it done. They left them hanging for years. For years. They left all these people hanging. What? Why? Because they didn't count? What, $89 a month doesn't count? Oh, because you want to do dial-up on a Bell network? No. Mike, everybody counts. Everybody should have it. We're entitled to it. And you know what? Surrendering it to guys that already got a cash cow. So, Rogers, Cogeco, let's talk about it. What is their cash cow? How much money do they have liquid cash in their account where they need the Fed money to finish what they were supposed to do to begin with?
And when you say they were supposed to do to begin with,
100%. That's the job.
That was part of the CRTC licensing agreement?
They were funded by that.
And they were supposed to provide internet all over Canada.
They were 100%. They got CRTC license. They got Spectrum. They got all this stuff that they were supposed to do, whether it's fiber, it doesn't matter what it is. They had a job. They had a responsibility. But you know what happens? They look after the masses. And the masses are, when you get a subdivision with 400 houses or 500 houses, 1,000 houses, or even 50 houses, that community is going to get it first. The guy lives here, you, me, you can't work your debit machine and charge your customers because you don't got internet.
Right.
How do you pay your bills? Who cares, Mike? They don't.
So, well, friends, there's, rural high-speed internet. If you don't live in one of the major cities in Canada, this is a huge issue. And if you live in remote parts of Canada, which, who are we kidding? It's 90% of it. This is a major problem, and there's huge taxpayer dollars going in to provide that last mile and get internet to the people that currently don't have it. And our money's being wasted. And they talk about climate change, and I mean, the hypocrisy is beyond belief. So I'll leave you with this, nothing really is what it seems. And oftentimes the people that are talking about doing what's best for the community, they're just not. They're lining their pockets, and they're lining their corporate pockets for their investors and their shareholders. I guess it's the way it goes. It's the nature of the world. But why don't they just tell us the truth?